Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Silva Vine podcast with your host, Michelle De Silva, a podcast that focuses on creating healing and awareness. In today's episode, Michelle interviews Dr. Samhitaa Dabak. Samhitaa, a dental surgeon with a science background, shares how she faced tough emotional struggles while working as a dentist, which led her to turn towards self-reflection and spirituality. Let's dive into today's episode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Silva Vine podcast with me as your host, Michelle De Silva. Joining me today, we have Dr. Samhitaa Dabak. Samhitaa is a dental surgeon by profession, and she is a student of self-reflection, self-love, and spiritual awareness. Samhitaa also is a host of her own podcast, which is called Be With You Show, which is directed to living a life aligned to your purpose by being in touch of your authentic self. So a warm welcome, Samhitaa, and thank you so much for joining me today. Yes, good. Thank you. We have finally gotten together, and we have finally, with so many different time zones to be able to get a recording. It's not always the easiest, but we've done it. So we're going to be speaking about spirituality, and obviously you are a dentist by profession. But before we get into your story around all that, what does spirituality actually mean to you?
To me, spirituality is just being in touch with your authentic self, with your inner self, and with your purpose. So there are a lot of meanings to spirituality, which people have in their mind. But for me, it is not something which is external to myself. It is inside me. It is directed towards me.
Thank you for sharing that. So what has led you to the point now in your life that you want to explore spirituality?
So in my life, I have been a student of science, and all of my family have always been into this practical fields, professionals. But when I was studying science, there was many times when while I was doing my job, I was studying, and I'm a doctor, so I'm performing surgeries on patients. There was often that I felt that there was some kind of lack, which was some kind of emotional lack. There was some kind of maybe loneliness, maybe hopelessness. And when that happened, this just did not happen only when I was working on a patient. I experienced it many times in my life. Also when I was studying, also when I was appearing for my exams, it happened many times. And spirituality, like turning towards myself, self-reflection, supporting myself has helped me a lot. So this is something which actually helped me, find a better way to life.
So what you're saying is that there were times in your life where there were a bit of struggle, and and you found yourself to be at a point where there was some loneliness, and being somebody who's in the medical field, science doesn't and can't necessarily explain that, can it? Can it?
It does not, because when we study, or even when I see a patient, we only look at the clinical symptoms. I only look at their oral cavity, their teeth, any kind of gum lesions, but we don't really look into their emotional state, their mental state, and all of that is affecting them. And what we see clinically is majorly the source of all the clinical symptoms that we see is the emotional and the mental state of the patient many a times. So science doesn't really reflect on the inner side of a human being, is what I think.
Right. And obviously, when you were going through your studies to be a dentist, was it easy? Was it an easy path? What were the struggles that you faced doing that?
Not really, because I'm from India. I'm from Mumbai. Our country is a very populated country, and so also it is a very competent country. So when I was appearing for my entrance examination to be selected into a certain college or university, it was not really easy. So from starting from studying for our entrance examinations to the getting into the university and working through your university with the faculty, with the patients, with the competition around. It was not at all easy, but we had to deal with all the competition and also handle our inner struggles and inner emotions to show up every day to serve our patients or do our best.
And so, would you say it was perhaps through that struggle that left you also then reflecting to explore those feelings that you've had within yourself to better yourself?
So while I was studying or preparing myself to be a doctor, I thought I was supposed to be a very strong person. I was supposed to be able to show up for myself. But many a times it was not the case. Many a times I found myself feeling low, not being able to address my emotions, not being able to deal through my emotions. That is exactly when I thought maybe there is a different answer to this. Maybe there is a different way that we can deal with our emotions and our thoughts. And that is how I turned to spirituality.
And like you said, you thought you had to be strong. I suppose when you go into this field, you're a woman and you have to then remain strong. And sometimes you don't want to be strong. Sometimes you want to be able to feel low in those moments. But it's almost like you have to then go and put on a strong face and have to be like this and have to be like that. So the expectation around that when you're already feeling a certain way inside, it must be really, really difficult.
Of course, but also being a woman, we have our cycle, the moon cycle going on, and our emotions fluctuate. But when we go to our clinics, um, we are not supposed to be weak on any front because it directly affects our performance. So we are supposed to be able to handle our emotions. So most of the times, women in professional and competent fields end up um, not addressing their emotions, sweeping them under the rug. They don't deal with their emotions. So that is how things work for women, sadly sometimes.
And then you mentioned in the beginning about you love about looking at your authentic self and being aligned with your purpose. A lot of people would say, well, what is purpose?
Yeah. So when I was growing up, often times is when I saw that the people around me, my seniors, all of them working for getting a good profession of choice, getting into engineering, being a doctor. And similarly, I also opted for something like that, which I opted for it with my choice. I love being a doctor. But at the same time, um, I was not ready to be uh, of being not in touch with my emotions, which is where I landed into a problem. So maybe that is what my true authentic self and purpose is: being a complete human being, being in touch with your emotions, being able to express them, and at the same time using emotions, using mindset, understanding the patient's mindset sometimes helps me deal with my clinical patients and clinical surgeries. So being in touch with your authentic self means knowing what is it that you really enjoy doing, what is it that you really are here for, and what is it that you can give to the world. So maybe that is how I made this podcast, where I share my views, where I interview people, where I put out good into the world.
But what is, you see, this is the thing, right? We go to school and then we're 17 years old, 18 years old in some countries, 16 years old in some countries. And at that age, we're told that we need to go and study something we enjoy and we love, and we need to go out into the world and we need to do that, you know? And so many people nowadays are saying, like, you know, we need to be our authentic selves and we need to find what we love. But how do we know what our authentic self is?
So I think it is a journey in itself. It is sometimes you get in touch with your authentic self earlier in your life. Sometimes you get in touch after you are prepared for it. So it is like being successful. Sometimes you get success. Some people become successful in their 20s, and some people become successful in their 60s. But the journey that you are, the life journey that you are going through, is definitely preparing you to get to your purpose and authentic self. So nothing is waste, because when I look back on my journey, when I went through all the struggle, when I went through all the anxiety, is what made me turn towards spirituality. And there is where I found my authentic purpose. So it is just a journey that it is which brings you to your authentic self or your purpose.
So if I was to ask you, you feel that you're your authentic self now, and that perhaps when you were going through your struggles, you weren't. What's different from the person you were then to the person you are now that's led you to believe that you are now your authentic self?
So while I was going through my struggles, even then I wanted to be a doctor, but I always had this feeling of not being enough. I was extremely self-judgmental. I always thought maybe there is something more that I can enjoy and I would, like to do. Even though being a doctor is something which my rational mind told me, which which I like, but I always thought that maybe there is something which is more expressive, and I would be, I would, I would be, I would genuinely tell you that I used to love talking to people, and thanks to podcasters and Spotify and all these things which are now there available, it was not there back then. So this was not even an option in the times when I was preparing myself to get into a profession. We never thought that I could talk to you, right? We never knew that this could happen. But today it is. And talking across and sharing our ideas and views is could be a profession in itself. Who knew? But today that we are doing it, maybe this is something I would love to do. And also I truly believe that we are, as human beings, we are ever evolving. We are changing because there is so much better out there and so much better inside us that we can give to the world. So you don't arrive somewhere. The process is your authentic self. The process is your purpose.
So the process is your authentic self, and the process is your purpose.
Yeah, that is what I believe in.
But does that mean that we never find purpose? We're always on a continuous purpose cycle, then, would you say?
I think this is our purpose, to evolve. This is what, again, the doctor in me says, that evolution is how the things work in our nature. So this is how it is. But being happy, being content in what you do, being um, thoughtful, being intentional in what you do, and knowing every morning that what I'm going to do today through my day is going to add some value into the world, is how you live your purpose.
I totally hear what you're saying over there. Um, So your podcast, you speak a lot about your authentic self and your self-awareness and being aligned with your purpose, as you just said, to keep on evolving and finding ways that you could make an impact in this world, to better people, to better yourself, and I suppose to better other people.
Yeah. Yes, to help people get some encouragement and appreciation of on their journey towards that authentic self is what I do.
And what about people? Because I'm sure in your experience, working in the science field, you must have come across friends or other doctors where they do not relate to spirituality, do not understand any of it. Did you face that? Did you have friends around you who are kind of looking at you and going, what on earth are you doing right now?
Definitely. I have my family. I had my family do that to me. My friends do that to me. But like I said, it was my purpose. Purpose is a very classified term for it. I would say this is what I enjoy. I loved reading to spiritual books. I loved reading about self reflection. I loved reading about how to deal with anxiety. And my friends used to read all the romantic stuff or the novels, and they were like, "What are you doing? You are 18. Did you read this? This was interesting." But I was like, "Okay, but this helps me. When I read this, it helps me." So it is about your purpose, and somewhere I also believe that your purpose pulls you towards it. So when you step ahead on your purpose, it also does help you out to get ahead. Like, I would like to give an example here. So when I started my podcast, I if you go back to my podcast and you listen to the previous episodes, I'm the only person talking there. And then you found me actually, right? And you
Yeah.
asked me to do this one-to-one conversation, which I never had any clue about. And then we are talking, and then I have started inviting guests to my podcast. So this is what I believe, that your purpose will always pull you towards it. It starts getting easier, it starts flowing. So that is what happened. Even when I was surrounded by people who did not relate to me in that sense, I enjoyed what I was doing. And then people who were spiritual I started attracting them in my life. And then I have this two separate groups of people, where a group where we just enjoy all the practical, tangible, all the trips and the romantic stuff. And then there is a group where we actually sit down and dive deep into things. So that is how it works.
Well, I've just heard you speaking there, and it's like they say, you need to trust the universe and have the intention, set out the intention, and then they say, leave the rest to the universe and they will find a way. You might not know what path to take, you might not know how to get there, but if your intention is in there, you know what you want to come from it. They will find ways and they will light up paths for you to start presenting things to yourself. And I believe in that. I definitely believe in that. But I think we trust less. I think we don't carry so much trust at the moment.
It just
There's
starts,
too many doubts. There's too many doubts.
Yeah. It will just start unfolding in front of you. You just need to allow, and things will unfold. That is what they say. I try to do it.
So what do you say then? Do you remain somebody that is married to science, or do you carry on a path of spirituality and see where that takes you?
So, see, there I would like to tell you, science is my love. Okay. Being able to get inside of a human being, cutting him open and fixing him and suturing him back is what I really enjoy. But there is something which spirituality gifted me, is knowing that why is this or this condition present in this human being. So there's nothing like a choice. You can get best of both the worlds and use it for your betterment and the best of your patients too.
So if there were people who were perhaps listening to this podcast and they were thinking like, I've seen people speak about spirituality, I'm not sure where it is, I would like to start my journey onto it, what advice would you give them? Where could they start?
So spirituality is different for different people. For everybody, it is defined differently. But I believe the easiest thing that you could do to get in touch with yourself, for me, spirituality is getting in touch with yourself. And for that, I believe what you could do is start with meditation. It would really help because it will just silence your mind for hardly a few seconds. But those seconds can really work wonders for you. So, meditation, then having a practice of gratitude, which is something where you are really grateful and proud of what you have done in your life. This is also a practice of self reflection, that you have achieved certain things, or maybe not. It doesn't need to be something great. It just, getting up on time in the morning, and you should be grateful for that. So, be an attitude of gratitude goes a long way. Meditation and listening to your feelings is what I believe you can how you can step into spirituality.
A lot of people try to run away from their feelings.
That is what I used to do too. Running away from your feelings is the best way to manage them, is what I used to think. But trust me, your feelings are not trying to harm you in any way. Even when you feel low, when you feel anxious, they're trying to help you. So listen to them and deal with them. Because once you overcome that low or that anxiety, things will start getting better.
Yes, no, definitely. It sounds all great. So just before we come to the end, what message would you like to give to our listeners with regards to anything in terms of self-reflection and being authentic? Anything on those?
What I would like to tell all of your listeners is it is very easy to get into the external world, get busy into the tangible world, trying to get successful, trying to get the person you love, trying to achieve things on your list. But it is not defined enough, and it is not, you know, easy enough to look into yourself. So start looking into yourself, because even when you become successful, even when you get the person you want to be with, it does not ensure your happiness. The only thing that ensures your happiness is how you feel inside of you. So that is my message. Start working on yourself. It goes a long way.
Well, they do say, don't they? It's like you've got to be content before the partner. You've got to be content before your dream house, because you might secure your dream house but move into it and just be a shell of emptiness. Then you wouldn't enjoy it anyway.
You need to live what you aim for already in the terms of your thoughts and your emotions. Once you start being the person you want to be, what you want will effortlessly happen, is what I believe in. So just start working on yourself and start shifting yourself to what you want to be, and things will just manifest for you.
So massive manifestation,
Yeah.
prepare yourself. And I agree with you there, because, if you look at people who are in a job, most of the time the ones that get the promotions are the ones that are already performing at that level, who are already doing more than what they do. A boss doesn't look at an employee who's doing the bare minimum. They're looking at the ones that are really acting as though they are in that role.
Because
And that concept in itself is just, like you explained, the manifestation.
Yeah, because you are just in yourself easily capable of handling what is going to come to you when you get promoted, or what things you're supposed to handle. And when you start being that person, those things flow to you. It could be responsibility, it could be money, it could be your promotion, your anything that you want. Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is that things can't be given to you if you're not ready for them.
Yeah. But that is something which is a block, because we have always been told to try hard and then you will get or achieve what you want. But they never told us to be the person that you want. This is something which I learned through my spiritual journey. Start living like the person you want to be. And especially for women, because often we go out there into the world searching for love, but there is so much love that we have inside us that we can, really nurture ourselves with, but we often don't. We often just miss out on ourselves, miss out on counting ourselves in our list to love. So I would really like to, reinforce this for women out there who are listening to you, that love yourself first, become your own first priority, and things, the love you want, and anything and everything you want will start flowing to you.
Indeed. That's a strong message, Samhitaa. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure to have this topic with you. And thank you all the way from Mumbai, yes?
Yes.
Thank you so much, and take care.
Thank you for having me too. Thank you.